Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. You know, it's one of those pleasures and honor that I have to be able to sit with some of the leaders in our community to get some updates about what's really happening. Very glad to welcome back to the program Chef Tim Soignet. Tim, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Yeah, sitting next to him, our DA for many, many years. Joe, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you, Keith. Pleasure to be here.
All right. Let's get a little bit of an update on your prospective people and how things are going. Tim, give us a little bit of an update of how things are going with the Sheriff's Office.
Well, since the hurricane, I mean, our motor pool on Capitol was severely damaged.
Yeah.
We put a temporary roof,
Right.
and from the temporary roof, we pretty much ran a commodities compound and running a main office out of there because of the courthouse
Right.
damage at the time.
Right.
With that, I mean, we have over 300 vehicles in our fleet, and with our motor pool being damaged, and when we started really looking at the assessment on what needs to happen, they said we'd probably have to vacate our motor pool for probably up to a year to get all of the repairs done to be up and functional.
Right.
So with that, we started looking at, I said, outsourcing that much mechanic work, it's gonna be very pricey.
Right.
And I have mechanics and
Yeah.
to put them in use, so we started looking at external buildings possible to lease.
Right.
And then when we started looking at buildings, the building that we currently moving our main sheriff's office at, we looked at it and I said, geez, we can put the whole sheriff's office here in my motor pool.
Mm-hmm.
And we had external buildings at the courthouse. I think we leased 2 other additional buildings outside the courthouse, and with the growth in the sheriff's office, and I started looking at a little bit of history. 1974, when we built the annex, when the annex was built,
Right.
we had less than 80 employees in the sheriff's office. We've grown to over 300 since 1974.
Right.
And with the growth, the space, and we've had additional buildings outside. And when this building came available, looking at the price we were able to get, it was a good investment
Right.
for the future of the sheriff's office. So we continue our services, but now we're going to be able to pretty much vacate 5 buildings and consolidate our sheriff's office under one, which means it's a lot more efficient. I don't have to go here, I can go there. Everything's there,
Right.
and it's gonna be a lot more efficient to expedite services
Right.
for our community.
Yeah. And Joe, of course, Joe Waitz with the District Attorney's Office, you guys sustained some damage, but y'all are also y'all have worked together for many, many years. For as long as I can remember, the courthouse annex has been that one centralized place.
No doubt, and it served its function. However, as Tim was saying, with number one, the courthouse was severely damaged.
Right.
Water came in. Some of the courtrooms are still not up and running. Hopefully, be up and running soon. So it's very problematic. On top of that, as Tim is doing now, we did several years ago. We had it mostly donated to us, a small purchase, but we got the Kirschman's building out by the mall.
Right.
33,000 square feet initially. I was very nervous about it, making the movement out there a little bit away from the courthouse. It turned out to be a very good move, housed all of our services under one central roof. We grew into it, and unfortunately, Hurricane Ida destroyed it.
Right.
We're hoping that FEMA, we've had several meetings with them to come in and talk about rebuilding it, and we met with a structural engineer just recently, and it looks like the whole building's gonna have to come down. There's some damage to the integrity of the outside walls, and that's what we were whether it's a rebuild or we just renovate. So it looks like it's gonna be a rebuild, and FEMA has said it looks like they're gonna help us pay for it. So that's a good thing.
Right.
It's just gonna be a time thing.
Right, and it's just, those things don't happen overnight. And so, the storm did, but the damage that it caused and the displacement of your people, and that's very trying. Y'all are all trying to help our community. It's hard to do that when you don't have a place to do it.
Right, and at the onset, when we met with the FEMA representatives, they said 3 years. 3 years from start to finish. So it's a process. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, but we're in it, we're moving forward now, and I'm actually kind of getting excited about a rebuild of the whole building.
Okay, and it's very similar to what you mentioned earlier, Tim, about infrastructure. That's what happened with your building, huh, Joe? The infrastructure of that building just didn't allow for it to just be repaired.
Right, there were air-conditioned units getting ready to fall through. It was a very hazardous place to even go in portions of the roof were ripped off. It was flooded with water. At some point, there was 2 and 3 inches of water standing in the building. All the floors were buckled, the walls. Now we have mold. It's just one thing on top of another, and it's not even. We're concerned about people going in there that's not properly masked and have the right respirators on to even be in the building. So
Right.
it has a lot of issues right now.
Yeah, and so it's interesting as the two of you talk about some of these. I don't know that we've been able to really expand and talk about the problems of trying to service the people in the problematic area since Ida. But as we wrap up in this particular segment, I kind of just want people to know you guys have had to kind of do makeshift staff working in different places and kind of move them around just to get services going.
It's been like that since Hurricane Ida, and but we're making do. And I've said before, I mean, our community deserves to keep the services, and because of destruction and everything we got with the hurricane, we're still handling our business out there.
Right.
As the DA's office, we're doing the best we can.
Right.
With what we have, and some of these moves that it's going to be able to continue our momentum, solve some of our problems, and it's actually some of the things we're able to do is able to help the DA's office with some of their issues. I mean, I felt bad. Some of these guys, I mean, I had my guys all over, but he had some of his guys in storage rooms, and just to make do. And our move is going to help the district attorney because we work hand in hand on what we do, and it's important that we continue that for our community.
Yeah. Talking a little bit about the problem that Ida caused and the really excellent solutions that y'all have come up with.
Yes, sir. Well, like I said, with the hurricane, it created problems for us, the DA's office, the court system, a lot of issues. And
Right.
now with the extra traffic and parking, and there's been several issues on top of the infrastructure damage we both received to our offices. And the move that we made is we moved up near EOC and with Emergency Operations Center. We came across the facility when I was looking for a possible temporary motor pool, and this building came up, and I said, well, it would be cheaper to invest and buy it than lease it.
Right.
Even for a year. I'd rather turn that money and own it, because when I looked at it with almost 43,000 square foot on 10 acres of property, and we were able to get it right about $86 a square foot. I couldn't even touch and build anything like that.
Not even close. With
And,
all of the building
but
costs
it's
and the elevator
solving
costs.
a lot of our issues we had before. But with Hurricane Ida, just brought everything to light. Now this is going to be first class for our sheriff's office, and then essentially it's going to be able to assist with the services we provide, because a lot of our services, from not only to the community but the logistics that it takes for the sheriff's office to keep ticking. We had logistics support here, things all piecemeal throughout the parish.
Different
Now I
places.
can consolidate, which is going to be a lot more efficient.
Right. And I know since 1974, the sheriff's office has been there at the annex, along with the DA's office and all of those other entities that operate in the annex. It's actually going to create some options for you guys, huh, Jeff?
There's no doubt, Keith. You know, and what people don't understand is that even pre-Ida, we had serious issues with the courthouse, and we had to keep rolls of Visqueen handy because of piping, things busting, leaking that would come. We'd walk into the office, and all of a sudden, there'd be sewage all over the lady's desk, and that just happened 3 months before the storm. Wow. And so we have Visqueen that sometimes we cover up our completely ruin the copier, I don't know, $12,000, $15,000, $18,000 copier. It's ruined because all this stuff is just dripped all over. It's we had insurance, but anyway, these are the problems going on pre-Ida. So I think Ida just brought to a head some of the issues we have and forced us to look at alternative solutions. And these solutions, I think, are long-term solutions that would be beneficial to everybody in the long run.
Okay. And I know there's going to be some transition of services, but let's talk about what's going to stay there at the courthouse.
Well, from the sheriff's office perspective, the services that support the court system, the district attorney, from the bonds and fines to the courtroom security, we're there. We still have the tax office there for the community to pay their tax, and I think it's next year. I think we're going to look at probably splitting, where people can go to North End,
Okay.
or stay here
Okay.
for a little bit more conveniences. But we're able to downsize in there and open up space for the district attorney, and needed space even for the courts.
Right.
Even for the courts, it's been needed. Everybody's been piecemealing, even our clerk of court. She's piecemealed a lot of buildings to function down there, and now I think it's going to open up space to help the district attorney. It's going to help a lot of people, especially with parking. Because look, I always call a recipe when you have court, tax season, everything going on. Good luck finding a parking spot down there. And it's always been difficult. Now us kind of pulling back, bringing some of the services there. Some people already been down there and they said, man, this didn't take no time. I had no problem parking in and out. We've already providing services down there, the background checks and fingerprints. We're still providing service. We're doing that down in Gray now.
Right.
But we still have our tax office, and we still have, we'll be keeping bonds and fines, and there's some part of the building we're gonna still utilize, but our services to what we provide to the courthouse, the whole system, we're still there to support, but a lot of my main infrastructure and operation that support everything, we're consolidated.
And I want to tell you, in the transition and all of the things that are happening, I was able to get in and out of the building, pay my property taxes in 5 minutes. So even with everything going on, y'all are still working very efficiently. I just need y'all to know that.
Thank
Like,
you.
you just need to know that that's working well. So, Joe, let's talk a little bit about, with the sheriff's office kind of pulling out, what that's going to mean, because I know how cramped you guys have been for many years in the building.
Post-storm and prior to his departure from the courthouse, I had people, multiple people. Every conference room is full of secretaries, support personnel. My tech lady is actually in a closet right now, as we speak, doing her work from her closet in one of the back offices. So these are the problems that we have, that we have every nook and cranny filled with people in makeshift offices to accommodate and provide the services. Now we're able to get a little more space. Now that he's moving out, we have not moved into his areas.
Right.
That has not actually been given to us, but we're hopeful that it will be, and that we can spread our people out and become more efficient. We're still doing a good job, and we're still
Right.
providing services, but it's really difficult.
Right.
It's really
And,
difficult.
right. And now we're moving into, hopefully we're moving into a place where everybody can come and go very easily, very freely, without the risk of COVID and those kinds of issues, where we're really going to need to be able to see those people and take care of them in and out of the courthouse.
There's no doubt. Parking is a major disaster down there, and with the departure of all the sheriff's office people, that opens up so much space for parking and the easy accessibility in and out of the courthouse. And I think you can see it. The public as a whole is going to be much, much happier.
Yeah, and so the one thing that they just need to look out for is what services are going to be where. And again, that's something that we're going to continue to communicate that to the public, letting them know where they need to go, how they can go about doing that. And again, it's going to make it easier in both areas, because now we're centralized in two different areas instead of only one central area. Talking about some of the planning, and it's one of those things where we always like to try and do our best job about planning for what the future looks like. But when you get a building in 1974 and then you add an annex to it a little bit later, we've got lots of things and options that we just can't do versus what can do. So, Joe, let's talk a little bit about some of those options that were a little cost prohibitive back then, and looking at that now.
Well, you know, when the courthouse was initially built, the annex was built, there was space for another floor. The cost back then was either 100 or 200, I forget what the amount was, but it was minuscule in comparison to what it is now. Now with all the plumbing and surge and all the different problems we're having
Codes.
to finish out that one floor, that the space exists, is millions of dollars. And so it's almost become cost prohibitive, because that millions of dollars only gives us so much space in the courthouse, as opposed to what Tim has done. He's got 43,000. There's no way. That's a fraction of what we would have got with the courthouse. So
Right.
I think we have to think about growth. We have to think about, you know, initially there are going to be some people that say, you know, oh, it's a pain to go way out there. Same thing with my Kirschman's building. I was on the edge about doing that because of the logistics.
So far
now,
away.
Correct. So now that I've done it, I'm like, that was a godsend to do what we did. All of our services under one roof. People have got accustomed to going there, and we still call it the Kirschman's building because the big Kirschman sign's still up there.
Right.
Still refer to it as this. And we talked about changing the sign, but why? Kirschman's. Go to the Kirschman's building. Everybody, yeah, I
Right.
know where it is. So,
Right.
Same thing with the sheriff and his new venture. So we are still providing all of our services except going from the Kirschman's. They're now downtown. Child support's at City Court. Drug court's at the old red brick courthouse, the old original courthouse building right on the corner there by the courthouse. That's where all of our services have once again been spread out. So with the FEMA people, the assurances that they've made us, we're very excited that we'll all be back under the same roof and operating back to where we were, because I think we had a good system at that time.
Absolutely. And now you're going to have all of your services under one roof. And Tim's been able to make a plan that was very cost efficient to go and be under one roof there.
Let me just share something that
Please.
Tim, he's not going to toot his own horn, but
He
one
never
thing-
does.
I know, but one thing that he has done that reduces the cost of it is that there are a bunch of heavy duty. There's a big testing room down there it's worth hundreds of thousands. I don't know what it's worth, but his goal is to take that, sell it to reduce the actual purchase price. There are things he doesn't need in there that he can take it, sell it, reduces the purchase price even further, which is, I think, is a very smart move.
Wow, yeah. And being careful with our taxpayers' dollars and providing services is something that both of you have been very focused on. And it's a good thing about moving forward and saving money where we can.
And, you know, we have to look the services we provide in our community, whether it's Hurricane Ida that devastated us.
Right.
We can't make an excuse on, oh, because of this, we can't do this. No, we have to invest right and continue to services our community. That's what the good people of the community expect, and that's what we have to deliver. And sometimes there's a lot of inconveniences that we have to deal with because of the storm, but we have to make it happen. Hurricane Ida brought a lot of things to light for the sheriff's office now that when we made this move, it's consolidated, but now for the efficiency, it doesn't mean less officers down the bayou. It doesn't mean none of that. Our officers, they're working those areas. Nothing has stopped there. None of those services. It hasn't reduced anything on any side of any part of the parish. We're able to consolidate, so the logistics and the support that supports that mechanism is much more efficient. The efficiency is where the parish reaps the benefits, because we can do a lot more efficient because everything's there.
Well, and it opens up so much easier communication when you've got everybody under one roof. You've got everybody right there. You can make decisions quickly. You can call a stand-up meeting that doesn't take an hour or two to find where everybody is and bring them together.
I mean, we don't have to track our logistics for the motor pool. I don't have to go here. Everything's there from evidence. Our detectives, because our detectives, they work cases.
Right.
Under one roof. I mean, we've been under one roof as far as the detectives. Now, we'll move that, our evidence, which that was other buildings we're gonna be able to consolidate into one. We've had several buildings throughout the whole parish, as Joe did. Now I can put everything there, and we got plenty of space. Like I said, we can't forget the building's 43,000 square foot, but it sits on 10 acres of property, prime property, that is ready for the development for the future. It's already been set up for that.
Right.
And
And so as we close out this aspect of the show as well, you're looking at building for the future, and that's what both of you are trying to do.
Well, yeah, that's a great point, because what I would like the public to understand is that we're trying to operate on a budget that consists of people getting fines, tickets, parking tickets, speeding tickets, getting them and coming in and paying for them. That's how we actually help support the district attorney's office and law enforcement.
Right.
The public defender, the sheriff's office, the DA's office. That's how we do it. And it all goes into the criminal court fund. Criminal court fund is busted every year, and it's even going to be worse this year because there's less tickets. People don't have the money to even pay them.
Right.
There are ongoing logistical problems that we must deal with, and financial problems are a serious issue.
Right.
So I just want, maybe that may be a subject for a different day, but
Okay.
we have issues that we have to deal with money-wise.
Right. And in doing so, trying to figure out the best way to use that money for the services that are provided. I am excited about what the plans are for both of you. I look forward to both of you coming back and telling us about that.
And I will say this, with our infrastructure, our budget allowed us to do it, and I'm still hiring.
Still hiring people.
Still hiring. I need more
growing
officers.
as we go.
And I promise I'm gonna put more officers on the street, and I have.
Yeah.
And
that's
we
the
still
plan.
need more officers, we still need more service, and I'm still hiring right now.
Wow. We appreciate your time very, very much, guys. Joe Waitz, District Attorney, Tim Soignet, Sheriff, we appreciate it very much. All right, guys, that'll do it for this segment. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming when we continue.